Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, or whatever time you'll be watching this if you're not here for the live portion of this service, but I'd like to say welcome. When I come in to tape services on Sundays, I'm greeted by the skeleton crew we have here that's here to keep things going. And somebody always says to me, "How are you?" And at that moment, it changes for me. Because before somebody asks me how I'm doing, I'm okay, I guess, but I didn't think about it. But then when they ask me how I'm doing, I feel an uptick of life energy. Just being acknowledged, just being aware of the presence of other wonderful people in my life. You know, it's been over a year, since we've been able to offer face-to-face greetings, but we're going to be able to do this, I think, in the not-too-distant future, and we'll have an announcement to make about that pretty soon. So if you're like me, I've been feeling down a little bit sometimes from my lack of contact with other people. Just know that help is on the way. The help we give by welcoming and embracing one another. We can do that for one another, and I hope and I think we'll be doing that pretty soon. But for now, we send you our virtual handshakes and hugs and welcome one another to our worship service. And we hope that you will be enriched by what we offer today.
Our opening hymn today is "We Are Not Our Own." It's number 317 in the Gray Hymnal.
See over a year now, those who lead Sunday services have spoken to empty chairs in our sanctuary. Yet, when I am up here, I can imagine your faces. I can see your smiles, hear the whispers of the children, and the soft breathing of each of my friends. That's the shared life of our congregation. As I lead you in saying our affirmation, I hear your voices. Please join me again. Love is our doctrine. Compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world. Here at UUCS, it's our tradition to light 3 chalices. The first is for our congregation, its members and friends, for you and for me. The next is for our partner church in Šimenfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And the third is for hope, our youth and children. For all the freedoms with which we are blessed, we light these flames. For all those who sought freedom in the past, and for those who seek freedom today, we light these flames. For the holy days, for the old stories and the new, we light these flames. Please join in singing the flame into light.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Hello and welcome to the Time for All Ages portion of the service. The story I'm going to tell you today is called Listen by Holly McGee. Listen to the sound of your feet, the sound of all of us, and the sound of me. Look to the shining sun. It's for you and all of us. It's for me. The stars, they are for you and all of us. They are for me. Breathe, smell the air. My air is yours and all of ours. And your air is mine. Taste. The food you eat is also the sun, is also the rain. The food I eat is also the sun, is also the rain. Dig in the earth. Your roots are mine, and my roots are yours. The roots of all of us are the same. Yet you are you, and I am me, and we are we. Us. Listen with your heart. It is your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, your hands. Your heart can hear everything. See everything, smell everything, taste everything, touch everything. Your heart can hold everything. You're including the world, its darkness and its light, including your story, including my story, including the story of all of us. And when your heart hears your own story, it hears my story too. Your story, my story, our story. Listen to the sound of your feet, the sound of all of us, and the sound of me. Thanks be, and may all beings be happy. Please do join us for the Children and Family Service being held live via Zoom on Sunday mornings at 9:45 a.m., or for the youth time on Thursdays at 5 p.m., or for the Easter egg hunt and celebration here at the church next weekend from 2 to 3:30 p.m.
Thank you, Lily, for that beautiful story. take a moment now, sitting in your homes, to take a deep breath, look around you, look out the window at this beautiful world, settle into where you are, being aware of life in this moment. In many ways, it's a hard time for many in our country. Waves of sorrow pass from communities in Atlanta and Boulder. These waves of sorrow pass out across the rest of the nation as we grieve the senseless loss of life due to assault weapons, guns. And we are shocked, yet not, to hear of a mother of 6 gunned down in a road rage incident. We hear of thousands of children desperate, alone at our border, seeking a new life, not knowing where they are going or when or how. May these great sorrows remind us to walk the path of compassion in our daily lives. May it remind us to do all we can to bring more light and love into our world. We need not look afar to find those in need of our compassion. Even the smallest acts and gestures of kindness are important. Your compassion is needed. Compassion is our way. And gratitude. It is the birth of spring. New life abounds in bloom and bud. What a glorious thing. New life, new hope, new joy. John Chinberg shares, "I am over the moon happy to announce that my son Brandon and his wife Brianna brought their son Brian Travis Chinberg into the world last week. And mother and baby are doing very well." May our awareness of the gifts of new life, the gift of life itself, lift our hearts in gratitude. Gratitude is our way. Amen.
Please consider sharing what is happening in your life by going to the website uusalem.org and clicking on the Joys and Concerns link. There you may also view what has been left by others.
Our pastoral hymn today is Lean on Me. It's number 1021 in the Teal hymnal.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'd understand. We all need somebody to lean on.
Pack nothing. Bring only your determination to serve and your willingness to be free. Don't wait for the bread to rise. Take nourishment for the journey, but eat standing. Be ready to move at a moment's notice. Do not hesitate to leave your old ways behind. Fear, silence, submission. Only surrender to the need of the time, to love justice, and to walk humbly with your God. Begin quickly before you have time to sink back into old slavery. Set out in the dark. I will send fire to warm and encourage you. I will be with you in the fire, and I will be with you in the cloud. I will give you dreams in the desert to guide you safely home to that place that you have not yet seen. I am sending you into the wilderness to make a new way and to learn my ways more deeply. Some of you will be so changed by weathers and wanderings that even your closest friends will have to learn your features as though for the first time. Some of you will not change at all. Some will be abandoned by your dearest loves and misunderstood by those who have known you since birth and feel abandoned by you. Some will find new friendship in unlikely faces and old friends as faithful and true as the pillars of God's flame. Sing songs as you go and hold close together. You may at times grow confused and lose your way. Touch each other and keep telling the stories. Make maps as you go, remembering the way back from before you were born. So you will be only the first of many waves of deliverance on these desert seas. It is the first of many beginnings, your Paschaltide. Remain true to the mystery. Pass on the whole story. Do not go back. I am with you now, and I am waiting for you.
Thank you, Janet, for that amazing reading and the amazing way you read it. Appreciate that. When I was a young man, the country was exploding with all sorts of new religious movements, seeking converts, and there were a number of times when they tried to get their hooks into me. Scientologists, Moonies, Jesus freaks, Hare Krishna devotees, and other cult-like groups. They were out there in force. And it often took some forcefulness to let them know that you were not interested in hearing their spiel. I especially remember one particularly unpleasant encounter with some official from the Scientologists, and she warned me that if I did not sign up for their program, their Scientologist program, that I would be, she told me this with great sincerity and conviction, I would be in a mental institution within months. She told me that 50 years ago. I'm still making my way there, I guess. Fortunately, I saw through their unscrupulous and manipulative techniques, and I have never since passed up an opportunity to warn others about this cult-like organization, the Scientologists. Overall, cult-like movements pose a perennial threat because they are adept at offering something that people yearn for, a sense of belonging and purpose. And yet, when they get this, they realize, people who join cults, they don't know they're joining a cult, but it involves a dreadful trade-off. Cult-like movements rob people of their spiritual and their psychological and their intellectual freedom, and sometimes even their physical freedom, and often their financial resources. Simply put, they are a form of spiritual bondage. Well, I thought I was good. I had dodged the cults. I didn't fall prey to their snares. I wouldn't have to be deprogrammed. I felt safe from the cults because I had connected with the Zen Buddhists, who taught that in the final analysis, you are a light unto yourself, and you should not rely on outside authority, but your own insight for spiritual direction in your life. That's what they said at the Zen Center in San Francisco. But the truth of the matter was that the American Zen master there was regarded as close to infallible. He was enlightened after all, and so he held great power in the organization. I remember one roommate of mine challenging this master at a gathering by saying that money being spent on a private retreat center for him, the master, could be better spent on serving the surrounding community. And my roommate's lonely voice of dissent was met with silence and hostile stares. How dare he challenge the master like this? Some years after leaving the Zen Center, I was surprised, yet not, to hear that the master had been forced to resign because of his abuses of power and sexual transgressions. Sad story. Then a few years later, I meditated for a short time with a group in Atlanta that followed an Indian guru who was widely revered around the world. And a similar disturbing story played out on a larger scale. Too much power was given to these and many other spiritual leaders, and it was grossly abused. Well, this finally got my attention. None of us in these groups had thought of ourselves as belonging to any kind of a cult, far from it. Yet maybe not so far after all. I saw how even in what seemed to be the most enlightened spiritual communities, cult-like dynamics can still manifest to the detriment of the overall spiritual health of the organization. And it's a problem usually only recognized in hindsight after the harm has been done. But the psychological dynamics operative in cults can be observed in a vast array of organizations and settings. That's important to remember. Cults are not, the problem with cults is not just within so-called identifiable cults. It's the psychology that bleeds out into the rest of the world. And this poses a special threat during times of great uncertainty, insecurity, vulnerability, times like now. We have only recently survived one such threat, at least for now. Future historians will record that in our time, 2016, 2021, conditions were ripe for a cult of personality to take hold in our country. A narcissistic huckster successfully peddled lies to his followers, offering them false certitude, a sense of belonging to a great cause, making America great again. And they had a common enemy to hate, the deep state, and anyone else who opposed them. But we saw the shocking consequences of this on January the 6th, when his cult followers, I'll call them that, cult followers, stormed our nation's capital. And even though he lost the last election and this insurrection was quelled, he has not lost many of his followers who continue to believe his lies about having won the election. Democracies, they're vulnerable. And they can fall prey to populist demagogues, because during times of change and turmoil, people are vulnerable to the appeal of those who project power, offer a sense of certitude, a sense of righteousness, and express grievance against a common foe. Many people remain in the last president's thrall, and they are mistrustful, alienated, very angry, and dangerous. We don't know what's coming next, but we do know now that there is a significant political cult in our country and other armed fringe groups who embrace various conspiracy theories, and this bodes ill for our country. Many years ago, I think it was over 20 years ago, when we were in the old building, in a more innocent time, I delivered a sermon entitled, "Is Unitarian Universalism a Cult?" And this was before the distorting influences of social media had warped so many minds, before countless people had gotten stuck by one conspiracy theory or another like flies on flypaper. This was before the leadership of our own religious association began consolidating power and stifling dissent. The point of that sermon was to offer people a clear idea about what constituted a cult, how they psychologically damage people, and how we Unitarian Universalists are the furthest thing imaginable from a cult as could be imagined. That was my sermon back then in the 1990s. I was naive on all fronts. The problem is greater than I imagined at that time. As any good student of history will attest, the dangerous pull of cult-like collectivist mass movements is all too real, and it helps explain the surge in populist movements around the world during this time when democracy is backpedaling. There are too many power-hungry leaders who know how to appeal to people's need for certitude and security, and most disturbingly, how to gain followers by scapegoating, by projecting evil onto others. Such populism mimics democracy, but it lacks what any healthy democracy must have. Any healthy democracy must have independent-minded people who can tune in to their inner voice of conscience and discernment, people who will not fall prey to those who appeal to our worst instincts, but will instead heed the higher promptings of their consciences. If such a person sounds like an ideal description of a Unitarian Universalist, then you get the point of my sermon that I delivered back then. In theory, at least, in the world of religion, we are the furthest thing from a cult. It's worth noting here that there's a dire need for there to be places that nurture the qualities needed to resist the pull of the dangerous riptides of cult mob psychology, the pressure to conform, to remain silent in the face of injustice and incompetence and ignorance, and above all, the pressure to dehumanize and demonize those who are deemed the other. Those forces are out there in our world. If there's any single word sewn into the fabric of our tradition, of our Unitarian Universalist tradition's history, that word is freedom. Freedom. Ever since the Hebrews set out to escape from bondage to Pharaoh in Egypt 3,000 years ago, all life-affirming religion has served to advance the cause of freedom from the bondage of body and mind and spirit. Too often, religion has served to empower and enrich the few and disempower and control the many. Too often, religious leaders have said, don't say that, don't even think it, we know what's best for you. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who began his career as a Unitarian minister, he once quipped that when two people think alike, one of them isn't thinking. The danger with cult psychology, mob psychology, is that only one person or one group of people gets to do the thinking. And it's always bad thinking, like the thinking of the last occupant of the White House, which was solely geared towards holding on to power, no matter what the cost to our democracy. Even now, democracy is dying from 1,000, nay, billions of cuts as disinformation and misinformation floods an unregulated social media online universe. Millions get swept up into conspiracy theories of one kind or another, most especially this false belief that the presidential election was stolen. Just a base lie, a destructive lie. The liberal values that hold democracy together, freedom and reason and tolerance and mutual trust, are under assault from both the far right and the far left. It's an unsettling era. To paraphrase Mark Twain, while falsehoods are running all around the world, the truth is still lacing up its running shoes. Simple truth seems to be overmatched by swarms of lies in our post-truth times. Many have fallen prey to lies. Many people's minds are captured by false fears and false, dangerous solutions. And this is a bad omen. But there are good omens appearing on the horizon too. New vaccines, calm, competent national leadership, greater awareness of the challenges we face, and greater resolve to do so. Then there is always our greatest overlooked asset, our greatest overlooked asset. What do you imagine our greatest overlooked asset might be? Our greatest overlooked asset is the inherent goodness of human nature, the inherent goodness of the human heart. And so, in sum, I would say that we are on a terrifying, terrific journey. It's terrifying because there really could be some tragic, divisive developments ahead. It's a time when masses of people will believe falsehoods and follow false leaders down false and destructive paths in which freedoms are lost. And it's a terrific time because during times of crisis, and we are in a time of political and social crisis, no doubt about it, there are also new choices and fresh opportunities for us to turn away from the pre-pandemic ways that have polarized and paralyzed us. There are opportunities to finally strengthen the social safety net and address the challenge of climate change and pursue social and economic justice. There are opportunities for us to promote and affirm liberal values. This is the path towards greater freedom. And I wonder which direction we'll be going. We don't know. Over the years, I've talked with a number of you who have relatives and friends and coworkers ensnared by conspiracy theories, fundamentalist beliefs, cult-like beliefs, and you love them. Let's remember that we love everyone, and that's an important part of what we teach in this congregation. But a lot of our friends are ensnared by conspiracy theories and these beliefs, cult-like fundamentalist beliefs, and we wonder, what can we do? What can we do? And so we think about this together, and we realize you cannot change somebody's mind by force. In fact, you cannot change somebody's mind. But you can listen. And you can ask gentle questions, inquisitive, not inquisitional questions, not like, why do you believe that? It's like, well, we're gentler questions, get better responses, asking people why they believe what they do. Simply listen, ask good questions. When people seek to answer such questions, this creates new opportunities for them to explore, to think for themselves. By asking the questions, you're simply allowing them to begin thinking for themselves. This is what the black blues musician Daryl Davis, I've mentioned him a couple of times in my sermons before, a remarkable man. The black blues musician Daryl Davis, he has talked to members of the Ku Klux Klan during the past 30 years. And he notes that when two enemies are talking, they're not fighting. When two enemies are talking, they're not fighting. And he has had many, many conversations as he struck up friendships with members, a black blues musician, striking up friendships with members of the Ku Klux Klan, over 200 of whom finally decided to quit that white supremacist organization and abandon their racist views, and they've handed over their robes. Daryl Davis has got 200 white Ku Klux Klan robes in his closet. I don't know where he keeps them, but that's really something. They've handed his robes over to him. He didn't tell them to. He didn't try to change their minds. Regarding all of this, he says about these 200 plus, he said, I didn't convert anybody. They saw the light and converted themselves. That's the way it always has to work. I didn't convert anybody. They saw the light and converted themselves. Every Sunday we begin our worship by making light in our chalice. Every day we have fresh opportunities to bring more light, the light of love and truth and understanding and acceptance into our hurting world. It's the light that leads beyond false divisions and false fears. It's the light that shines in every human heart. Do you see that light? Do you bear that light? It leads to freedom. Will you join me now in a time of quiet reflection as we consider our nation and our world and our place in it? And we know that we are called to be ourselves. As unique and precious beings, we have something to offer, something to contribute. We should learn to trust in our own goodness, our own wisdom. We're on a long journey. There are many mistakes made, many dead ends, and yet we regather and continue. We continue this long journey away from spiritual and physical and intellectual bondage. We are on a long journey. Let us continue together. Amen.
Spring has arrived. Daffodils, crocus, and hyacinths are blooming. Trees are leafing out, and the birds are building their nests. It's nature's way of giving back after the challenges of winter. We're seeing much the same thing as we begin to get vaccinated, and we look forward to returning to the new normal after the challenges of last year. This is the time we need to give back in support of this, our spiritual home. This month, we're sharing the plate with LUS, Latinos Unidos Siempre, who work to empower youth through leadership development and grassroots organizing. Your support makes a difference and is much appreciated. You can make your donations by sending it to UUCS or by clicking on the donation button on the website at uusalem.org. Each week, we light our social justice lantern to remind us of the need to spread light and warmth out into the world. As we extinguish our chalices, let's be mindful of how blessed we are to be part of this loving and accepting community. Let's be mindful that many do not have the freedom to worship, travel, work, and love as they choose. May we always work toward freedom for all people.
That social justice candle doesn't want to get lit today. Let's just stick with it. We're going to show some perseverance here and make sure that we get the light out into the world, one way or another. Please notice that after the service today, we have, as usual, during our virtual worship services, we have a Zoom fellowship gathering. So please do join for that, and you can see how to register for that at the UU Salem org calendar. So please do join us from that. You can still complete your estimate of giving form. I do have some good news about our pledge drive. We have received pledges of over $306,000, and that's really good. People have increased their pledges, and we're doing really good. We're so grateful and really happy. We weren't certain how things were going to go during this year when we weren't meeting as a community, but the support shown during our pledge drive has just been so heartening, and we're so grateful. If you haven't had an opportunity to make your pledge, you can still do so, but I am happy to say that it's going very well. So if you also notice on our website, there are new ways to connect. There's Circle Cocktails and Conversation. That's groups of 5 with a facilitator. It's a 1-hour meeting, a list of suggested topics, a topic selected at the meeting, just a good chance to connect with other people. So please check out that if you're just looking for more opportunities to have good conversations with people. And that'll be in April 16th, 17th, 18th. So I hope you'll look forward to that too. Please also notice we're having, and I'm going to be here to help with the Easter egg hunt next Sunday. It's an outdoor. It'll be one of the few things we've been able to do where we could gather in person here for quite some time. So I hope you'll bring your children and just come on by, and we're just going to have a good old time for an Easter egg hunt on April the 4th on Easter from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Also, please notice, we hope that every single member of the congregation will seriously consider signing up for the class that we are offering, Diversity Without Division. It's co-sponsored by the Unitarian Universalists in Spokane, and we're also inviting other UUs from around the country to join us for this, so and people from outside the congregation to join us. So it should be quite an interesting program, a 7-week program. Hope you'll consider signing up for that too. I think that's enough announcements for one Sunday, so thank you for putting up with that.
Our closing hymn today is Guide My Feet. It's number 348 in the gray hymnal.
Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For
join hands with those near you and your heart and spirit with our community as we say our closing words together. May faith in the Spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come.